Hey everyone, welcome to the Radiant Lawcast. This is the spin-off series exploring the humans of Radiant and getting to know our colleagues on a more personal level over a coffee date, and getting to know the people who actually work here. Exactly. Gregg, it is lovely to meet you. I actually haven't had the opportunity to chat to you, so I'm really excited to learn more about you and your background. But thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks a lot for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Sorry, Gregg, do you mind just showing me the other side of your mug? I just
Sure.
I just want to. Okay, some appreciation there. Master of multitasking. Oh, love that.
Multitasking.
Love it.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but that was disclosed off record, and I needed to take advantage of that.
Okay, Adelaide, do you want to dive in with our first questions for Gregg?
Sure. So, Gregg, first of all, what are you drinking in that mug, the multi of Mars?
A delicious cup of Lipton, typical black tea with a splash of milk, no sugar. That's usually how I like to have my tea.
Very specific. Very nice. Very nice. I just have a plain black coffee. Kendra, what are you joining with?
I'm also joining with tea. I've had more than 2 cups of coffee today, which is far too many. Yeah, that's too many for me. Gregg, I would love to hear a little bit about your journey into law. How did you get started? Did you always want to be a lawyer? What brought you to this point at Radiant?
Well, my strengths, I'll start from high school, whenever math and science. And I went to an all-boys school where there was an inclination towards science. Everyone wanted to be a doctor or an engineer. However, my strengths were more in literature, sociology, those subjects. So I geared into those at the Cape level, which is sixth form, right? And started to key into those and see what is a legitimate career I could perhaps make out of it. And law was always interesting. There were a couple lawyers in the family, about 2 or 3, in like aunts and whatnot. And I was interested in hearing about their journey, how they would go to court, and it just seemed like a very exciting career. So I shooted my shot. I hope that's grammatically right.
Yeah, perfect.
And I was accepted into the program, and then it was pretty much straight from there. Like it wasn't really anything too dramatic leading to that point.
I feel like every lawyer's journey has this detour. It's, math, science, and then we're like, no, the other one.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that you said you have a few family members in law. So did you know the path that you needed to go? You knew all the requirements. Were you pretty comfortable in that decision?
Yes. In Trinidad, I was familiar with what I would have had to do. I knew it wasn't like most of the degree programs they offer here for persons who go the non-STEM route, which are like 3-year programs, maybe 4. I knew it was going to be 5 years of commitment. And that was a little bit of a pill to swallow because you're thinking, wow, it's so long. I don't know how long it is in South Africa.
About 4 years. It depends on the degree you do. Yeah, similar.
Okay. Yeah, and I was all set to get into it. So I was mentally prepared for what was coming my way.
Very important, mentally preparing for it. So you're based in Trinidad, am I correct? Right?
Yes.
So how did you come across Radiant? Because I mean, Radiant is sort of remote. It's a UK law firm. How did you stumble across Radiant?
It was on LinkedIn, and I believe Caribbean Jobs as well posted it. And I saw persons maybe liking the post on LinkedIn, and I clicked on it with curiosity, and it's like, okay, this sounds interesting. Very different. At first, you're seeing all these factors like is it in the UK? And then I checked out their page and I'm seeing all these South African lawyers, sorry. And I'm wondering, okay, what's the dynamic here? It's so interesting. And then I started to browse the Trinidadians that were already hired. And I saw they had some common connections and whatnot. And I said, okay, this might be legit. And And it was firstly very intriguing because of the commercial contracting nature of the firm. And it is an area that I had some experience in prior to Radiant. So I decided to apply. And then the conversation started with Nicola. And when I started to speak with the persons from Radiant, I became more and more interested in having that human unveiling of what was on the site and whatnot.
Did you have, I can only imagine that you had apprehensions of diving into this foreign kind of work style, this kind of weird structure with all of us all around the world. So did you feel like it was a scam? Like, are you pleasantly surprised with what you found? How has your experience been so far?
Definitely pleasantly surprised. I did not really think it was a scam because I felt like there, for some reason, for some reason, there was a level of transparency in what I was reading, and there was so much detail, and it was never like fluffy. And I feel like the company was making all the right disclosures from the advertisement point. And I've seen job scams before, and they are not as, they don't really make so much sense. And the site helped a lot for me to confirm its legitimacy. Also, when I started, I was very impressed by the facts, like it's a B Corp and there is an emphasis on sustainability through doing everything digitally. There are certain ethical requirements that our clientele and whatnot they have to meet. So those things, they just hammered home. You know, this is a firm that is set on utilizing the digital sphere as best as it can, with no ulterior motives apart from that.
You really did your research. I Googled Nicola and I was like, oh, she seems legit. No, that's great. And so where did you come from? What was your previous work experience? What made you want to make this drastic shift? Because as you said, it's really different. It's very new, very niche, a lot of hashtags to it, as you could say. But what made you finally make the shift?
Well, prior to Radiant, I was called to the bar in 2018 in Trinidad. In 2019, I was called in Guyana, and I worked for 1 year, I would say in tandem with a senior criminal law attorney, and a lot of my practice was based around that. I enjoyed doing a lot of matters at the children court level. I found those to be, you felt like you were making an impact, which was important to me when I came out of law school. And after 1 year of that, I applied for a job as a legal officer with this logistics company in Trinidad. And uh, interestingly, I was the first lawyer they hired. Now, I entered that company without any prior corporate law experience. And I would say it was a bit of an uphill climb for like the first 6 months because you're trying to find not only your role in the company and the specifics of it, but you're also trying to understand who you are as a lawyer, which is important at the start of your career. You're trying to really taste and see, do I like family? Do I like criminal? Do I like XYZ, right? And I was in that role for 3 years and almost 3 years, like 2 years, 10 months. And it was highly rewarding. It was I was their in-house lawyer and I was their corporate secretary for sort of a group of companies. And it gave me a lot of different exposure and experiences. And contract management was one of the areas. And it was quite a struggle because it made me realize how much resources you need to put into contracting to make it efficient and effective. So that was sort of one of the stimuli in my interest in Radiant and seeing a place that had such a vast contract network and so many resources pumped into contracting with processes that were tried and tested. And my curiosity was definitely piqued because many times I would have been a one-man show trying to understand contracting problem, as I like to call it. And and in here there were just solutions. So that definitely piqued my interest.
So you mentioned that, you felt like you didn't necessarily have the support in your previous job. You felt like you were kind of a lone wolf. And I know that, working remotely can have its similar struggles. How do you find Radiant in that? aspect? Do you feel like you have the support? Are there certain, I don't know, could you tell us maybe a little bit about that?
Well, okay, let me just clarify one thing quickly. No, I had support. Like I had persons, I was working with at external counsel and whatnot. So at first it was definitely, you're thrown into the deep end and you're trying to swim. But as
Yeah.
time went on, I felt that it was one of the best decisions ever because gave me sort of growing my own style as a lawyer. You're doing it independent, there's not really someone telling you what to do. So you come into your own, and that was definitely one of the strongest takeaways there. But in Radiant, there is a vast network, I think, of people just willing to help you. I've had so many questions since I came in, and not one time did I feel like my question was not, valid or not worth asking. I like that there is a culture of feel free to ask because what we're doing for the client is important. So we want to ensure you get it right before you hit send or something like that. And that support system was always there.
I'd strongly identify with that feeling. Just to loop back to a couple of things you said about Radiant being passionate about being effective in contracting and contract management, that we're part of a B Corp. Those are kind of really strong Radiant values. I would love to understand what Radiant value you identify with the most. Are there any that you've taken into your normal life? What do you think about our values as a company?
For me, the one I would identify with most is the value. I can't remember the exact wording, but it's linked to the sustainability and the practice of that topic and leaning towards a better environment and whatnot for us all. Because it's no secret that law firms go through a lot of paper. And the mark that, that leaves, it's sort of reversible, especially in this time where we're dealing with real topics like climate change. So it was important for me to be part of that change. And I don't necessarily agree with every single thing requires physical paper. Many things can be digitized, so why not use it? And it felt like a step in the right direction. And because we have such a vast number of clients, and I keep saying and I apologize. And they are global clients with many clients of their own. It's important to sit in a spot that you could facilitate so much discourse, so much trade, so much contracting digitally. I feel like it's a powerful thing to be able to do, and it's great to be part of that product that we're really putting out there.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen it, I'm sure you've come across it, but our One Trees Planted program, where we plant a tree for every contract. I love that. I love at the end of each quarter to see how much progress we've made. And I also love that I literally have not touched a piece of paper or written down anything since starting at this job. Everything is digital. So that's really cool.
I can't tell you the amount of paper cuts, the amount of paper, the paper lice that used to be in my previous firm. I shouldn't say that. In my previous job. I'm just, one of the biggest things for me was how paperless they are. Because I think with that, I don't know, that's a very small, I would say, indicator of a firm or business's core value. It just shows you that they're ahead of the time, sustainable, as you said. And I love that I haven't touched paper either. Gregg, I wanted to ask, do you have any advice for anyone, in the recruitment process, or anyone, hoping to make a shift as you did? It can be quite daunting. Do you have any advice, even general life advice, you could give anyone?
Yes, I do. I would say, first of all, it's important to be open-minded and know that we are experiencing a drastic, I think, paradigm shift in the legal profession globally. First of all, so many adjustments had to be made, like during COVID in Trinidad. the court system, much of it became digitized as it wasn't previously done, online filings, that sort of thing. Radiant represents a higher level of that sort of digitization process, and it is an excellent step to take in your career and walk into it with an open mind, learn as much as you can, and just broaden your horizons and the way you think, the way you see the profession. It also expands your skill set beyond legal into the field of business, communications. I have only been in the company for a little over 2 months, and I kind of tell you how much of an improvement I've seen in the way I draft emails and the way I communicate things. I've realized how important it is to be as clear cut as possible when you're communicating something to someone, especially if they may be outside of your jurisdiction, and there may be some cultural differences and whatnot. You want to try to bridge those gaps as best as possible. The other piece of advice I would give is to ensure you have balance in your life. When you start any job, really, it's an adjustment from what you were previously doing. So, for example, the day at Radiant may not go the way it used to go in your previous job, but all you have to do really is shift the parts around and make time for leisure, make time to sign off eventually, and try to enjoy your life as well. Like work is very important, but it is not the be all end all of your life, and you can and you should maintain that balance and move forward that way.
Totally agree. We were talking this week actually with another one of our team members on the Lawcast, and he was kind of saying that at Radiant we hire weirdos. We don't hire people that fit into the traditional legal stereotype. And like, I think we all place a really nice value on work-life balance and being a full rounded person outside of work too. So I would love to know, like, what does your life outside of work look like? What are you doing when you're not behind your laptop being a radiant superstar?
I like that term, radiant superstar. Yeah. I like to go to the gym. I like to go for a run. So some evenings, sometimes I try to do that in the morning before work. Fortunately, work starts at 9. So I have a little bit more time than when it was the 8 o'clock start, which is the norm in Trinidad, to do the morning workout. Sometimes I do it at night. I like to go for a run, sometimes early in the morning. And I have 2 nieces who I'm very close to, so I spend a lot of time with them and teaching them things and watching television and whatnot with them. I really enjoy that quality time, very family oriented, and hanging out with friends, just doing things like going to the movies, going out for a drink, that sort of thing is very important to me. I feel like that's where my extrovert side comes out more. So it's nice to see him because I tend to gravitate towards more of the introvert side during the day.
And I think that work-life balance that you spoke about is really important, especially if you're working remotely. As you said, actually switching off and kind of scheduling your day so that you have some structure, because it can get, you can get carried away. It's easy to stay online. So as long as you're filling it up with all those good things. So we have a rapid fire round set of questions.
Uh-huh.
So don't think about it. First thing that comes into your head so that's what we're going to ask. So first thing, what is your number one counterparty pet peeve?
Everything is urgent.
Feel like you're thinking too much.
Yes, everything is urgent. Okay.
For sure.
Oh, I actually have one more. Let me think of how I have to phrase this. The constant back and forth, or like the refusal to try and settle.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm with you. Okay, next question is, you're in trouble when your boss says X.
We need to have a talk.
This is a popular one.
Exactly.
I think that everyone was saying
Or booking a meeting with no other details.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What is your remote working guilty pleasure?
Eating chocolate excessively during the day. Like around after lunch, I want something sweet.
Okay. Is that very only fixed to remote working? Seems like a normal day for me.
Maybe at the office too, because I remember when I last worked in an office, I used to go to the pharmacy right next door and buy like Cadbury chocolates at lunchtime, and I used to have to stop myself from doing it.
Okay, so you have a sweet tooth. Nice.
Yes.
No wonder you're hitting the gym so hard if that's an everyday.
Balance, as you said.
Okay. What is your number one Slack emoji?
There's this star that has like some flame shooting out
Yes.
from it at all ends. I really like that for some reason.
That's very niche. It's
Yes.
some people are gonna say the fire, the 100 star. I'm gonna add that to my favorites and
Yeah,
try
I
it
feel
out.
like it tells the person who I am dropping it on that, you're a star. Or, I'm happy you pulled that matter. It feels more
So it's just
encouraging.
really.
Yes.
And then, what is your number one word hack or tech tool that you use at Radiant or in general?
I love the no button, and a close runner-up is the protect and unprotect function. Just because it's like click, and I feel so protected when I do it. I don't know. It's just a click away.
I love that.
Those are two very good ones. Yes. Could not live without the no button. So easy. Just no.
Okay.
You know.
Yes. Well, we should probably say if anyone doesn't know what those functions are in Word, they are part of our remarkable software that we use for reviewing contracts. And I don't think I could ever live without it from here on out. Just to round us off, our last final question. Gregg, you have already given us so many pearls of wisdom, but I would love to know, do you have one last one that you would tell your former self?
Yeah, I would say don't sweat the small stuff because I am a chronic worrier, and there's so many things we worry about. I think in our early 20s, and when you get to the latter part of it, you think that it really wasn't worth spending all that time, crying over spilled milk or things that just weren't even spilled to begin with. It was just your perception in your younger years. So that is something I would tell my younger self, and I would also say take more chances, and do more things, and don't sit and wallow too much and worry about the what ifs. Doing always benefits you because there will come a point in your life where you won't be able to do it again. So yes, those are my two things I would say.
Oh, I'm gonna take that down. Excuse me. I'm gonna write that down for myself.
I think Gregg is going to be our new Radiant guru.
Yes.
I think so.
I like that.
Yeah, Gregg, thank you so much for making the time. It has been absolutely wonderful getting to know you in this forum, and we really appreciate you taking out a chunk of your day to have a conversation with us. We will continue to have chats like these. Watch out for more episodes of the Humans of Radiant Lawcast.
Thanks a lot for having me. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much, Gregg.
Bye.